called the Crucifixion Day and the Day Redemption really started for Christians, and we say Happy Good Friday once again. Today we have a lot to line up on the program. This morning we are going to start from the home front and to what is happening in Plateau State, and the obvious one, INEC, ADC, that's the African Democratic Congress for the party, talking about the chairman of the party and also the secretary. We will talk about it before we now talk about the big one happening tomorrow in Ogun State. Just stay tuned. And before we delve into it, I have two gentlemen. They've always been part of this program, and they are back this morning to do justice to this topic. I have from my right, Dara Adebimpe. Happy Good Friday.
Thank you so much, Taiwo. And we greet our viewers. Happy Good Friday to our Christian faithfuls.
All right. From my left, I have Matthew showing me. Matthew, you're welcome again to the program.
Thank you. Happy Good Friday to all Christians.
All right. We start from Ogun State. Governor Dakwa Abiodun orders full investigation into gas leakage at Ogun School. Details of that story, just short. Let's give you a little of what transpired. Ogun State Governor Prince Dakwa Abiodun has ordered the immediate closure of Our Lady of Apostle Primary and Secondary School located in Jebu Ode area of the state, where 30 students and 2 teachers were hospitalized following a gas leakage. And part of that directive after the closure is that there will be probe. The governor is interested in knowing what really happened, and I believe that they will say that truly there must be probe into this.
Actually, for me, this would probably be a major gaseous leak that will be reporting in our schools in recent times. The ones that we have been having during the scarcity of gas had always been with the public. But with a public school and such a big graded school like that, Our Lady of Apostles, do you know that the school that our major athletes in the international to be attended, that calls for a real probe, because people will now be interested. Some might even actually ask her, have you contacted your school? And that's why the issue of investigation on the part of our governor is just in tune with the standard practice. And then, of course, to allay fears, as well as avoid recurrence. Because if you don't know the root cause of a matter, it could likely recur, and that will not be good enough. And of course, not just the school, but those who are within that vicinity. Thank God they said medical treatment should be extended to the communities in and around the school, like Molipa, Okeaje, what do you call it now? Obobo areas. That is to know the impact that such gaseous leak will have had upon the populace. But what I will just say is that it should not be one of those investigations that it will end as it is spoken.
Well,
we should make it known.
Matthew, looking at this, we can say a leakage, and probing it might reveal more. You remember the case some years ago when we had this issue of gas in Ogun State, where few people lost their lives. It was a reoccurrence, and at the end of the day, the state government was able to trace where most of this the gas station where they bought this gas. I'm not talking about cooking gas right now, but still talking about this probe. Are you expecting that with the level and what the governor has said, do you think this might reveal more than the ordinary, just the leakage? Obviously. Because of the fact that if it affects neighboring community and also 30 students and are you expecting possibly more to be revealed?
Apparently, this will unravel the immediate and remote cause of the leakage or the gaseous infiltration into the atmosphere that eventually got to the school and affected some of the students and even their teachers. Also, this will also help in dousing the tension and the panic that was put in the air by the way the incident was actually reported. As a matter of fact, I have issues with the way our colleagues performed, that is journalists, or maybe I should say the way the event was reported. Because initially when the report came out, it was more or less like an explosion. When I saw the report, I saw it was posted in one of our loops or our media loops. Someone posted it that there was an explosion in a school in Djibouti. I was taken aback. I was baffled because an explosion in a secondary school, you know what that means? The students might have been running helter and skelter, not knowing what to do next. And you know the kind of panic that must have created even from the parents, because when we hear that a school where everyone has a child or even more than a child or children just experience an explosion, especially at this current security situation that we have in our country, and such a parent will just sit down without being panicky, without experiencing some level of anxiety. But so the way the event was reported, it was actually a lot of mistakes, or should I say inaccuracies were pushed around by those. Because I actually read it even in one of the major news outlets where it was reported that there was an explosion. Meanwhile, there wasn't anything like explosion. It was just a leakage, gaseous leakage that infiltrated into the school and led to nausea from or I should say vomiting and reactions from the students and their teachers. So with this investigation that has been ordered by the state government or that has been initiated by the state government, this will help find or look into the matter, find the remote and immediate cause of the leakage, and at the end of the day, it will douse the tension that might have been thrown in the air. And at the end of the day, though we are now in the school has been closed down. They were about writing their second term examination. The examinations have been suspended for now. At least if the investigation is wrapped up as at one do, and it doesn't take too long, the students can actually go back to their schools, complete their examination, and proceed on their second term break. So this investigation is the right step in the right direction.
Well, a right step in the right direction, and also just like you mentioned, this period, everybody needs to be alert. We have a lot of security concerns, and I believe that's why the governor has decided to probe this and look holistically into this, so it's not going to happen next time. Let's move to the next one. It's another big one, and it calls for a serious concern, Plateau State crisis. President Bola Tinubu visited Plateau State, and made statements. He promised the people of Jos that this won't happen again, and also he also ordered 5,000 camera surveillance in Jos, and this is due to the renewed violence in Jos, the Plateau State capital, where gunmen reportedly attacked the Agnian Ukuba area community, killing people. That was last Sunday. Yes, looking at this, the president has made a statement this period concerning the attack. in Jos. Do you think his visit and also this would possibly end or reduce the crisis in this area? We have talked about communal differences. We have talked about farmers, elders differences. There has been committee to this direction. In this regard, there has been a lot of effort, but we keep having this renewed violence. This period, the president has made statements. He has promised that this won't happen again, and he has gone further to say we need surveillance camera, which will be structured and erected around this. Do you think this would actually end this at this particular period?
Yes, for empathy, the visit okay. For optics, fantastic. For visibility of governance, good. But finding, really saying that this will be the last would be an overstatement. Because the root cause of this matter, until it is addressed, it will be, it's like a rigmarole. We'll still be in the same position, running all about. And of course, we are honestly overstretching the military. Secondly, the police that ought to have taken care of internal crises are not fully equipped. They are not enough. The military itself is not enough. The major problem we have today when you want to fight crime, because nobody that will attack you, they don't have any tag on their heads that you'll be able to see, this man is about to attack me. Unlike when you are in a football match, when you know your opponent, and like people will say in conventional battle, you can easily identify the enemy. But in this one, this is an asymmetric or militias, who are just the strong group, this gone through set of people who are being used to score one thing or the other by what I could call maybe non-state actors. But in this sense, when you look at it, way back since 1994, let me take away what has transpired even in the 80s, because I used to love Jos in those days. It used to be one of those places you want to go to as a tourist or as somebody that loves Nigeria. And it used to be a very good settling down city for people all over the world, because it has a temperate
it also
climate.
Used to be one of the peaceful
yes,
areas.
Yes, I tell you, even the issue of electricity did not join the national grid until 1974. It's being run by NASCO agency. It's called the Twin City. It was a potpourri of people from all over the world. They settled down there, and you want to go there. It used to be one of those places I've loved to have done my youth service when we are going to service. But I thank God that this organization gave me an opportunity, even to, at the end of the day, to stay in that city. I went there, the NTATV College Jos. We had training there for months. I was there, very beautiful, well-organized city, rock city, just like Abeokuta. In fact, my write-up for my psyche there was on Jos, a city, surrounded by hills. Very beautiful environment. But the root cause of the matter that is causing disaffection, no one knew. By the time I got there in 1989 or 1990, you need to see the beautiful scenery of the Josephine market. I don't know whether that market exists today. I never, for a moment, understood my entrance and my exit in that market to let you know how big that market was before it was spoiled. And it was opened by the then military head of state, late Major General Muhammad Buhari, when he was the head of state in 85. But what am I trying to say? That we need to improve on our intel. We need to equip more. Yes, the president has promised he will upscale the technology that is being used. But how about the root cause of these seeming recurring problems? There are several reports that are gathering dust on crises in Plateau State. And it is unbelievable that such a beautiful city, such a beautiful state, with good climate, is experiencing this kind of scenario. A city that we could have used as a melting point to develop the country further, because it gives room for people, it accommodates people from all over the world. From all over the world. It's a convergence from every part of the globe. But be that as it may, I don't see anything to say with what the president has said that this will likely be the end. But be that as it may, I want to go the way of the El Salvadorian president mentioned, that when things like this are recurring often, there must be complicit within the system. And we need to check within our system who and who. I know that during the Buhari era, some external government were trying to, assist the government on certain people who are sponsoring bandits, doing this, doing that. Initially, we were crying about farmer herders. What is the cause now? So until we understand, go to identify the root cause of this matter, we are still smoking the screen. We are yet to get to the root. And it's unfortunate a number of people that have been lost, people that could have added value to this country. They have lost them.
Well, this period is one time where we examine, some of what has been said before, talking about communal clashes, boundary disputes, and a lot of it. And there have been committees set up to look into this. But, possibly we will have the reports, maybe due to what is we are having currently, or the recent, or this incident would, spur them to come up with a very solid and very comprehensive report. Matthew, the Chief of Army Staff and also the Inspector General of Police has deployed more troops to Plateau State Jos, and they are vowing and they are promising that justice will be done, and they are going to ensure that those who perpetrated this evil will be brought to book. This statement, we've heard something like this.
That was what I was about to say. And this is not the first time we'll be served such, or we'll be getting such marching orders or warnings, or should I say a kind of threat from the security agencies against those that are involving or that are involved in this kind of crisis. You need to understand the situation we have in our hands as far as Jos is concerned. The crisis, as he has said, has been there for a long period, even before we began to have issues with banditry and Boko Haram thing. The Jos crisis has always been, since we are the advent of democracy, we've always been battling with this crisis in Jos, and the successive governments have made a whole lot of effort. They've done a whole lot of things to address the challenge, but it seems most of those things that have been done have been largely cosmetic. We have not gone down to the root cause of all this crisis and with a view to addressing it. Now, if you want to address a security challenge, there are two options available to you. Is either you adopt the option of a negotiation, that is to bring the parties involved in the crisis together, and you do a kind of you serve as a kind of an intermediate or a mediation. Thank you. You serve as a kind of mediation between the warring parties, because as I've regularly observed, the crisis has always been between the settlers and the original owners of the land, that is the pastoralists and the headers. No, the pastoralists will always claim that, or maybe allegedly, from what we have been made to understand over the years or over in the recent time, it has always been the crisis between the settlers, that is those that lay claim to the ownership of the land, and the headers, those that believe all the lands in the country belong to them. So wherever they find themselves, the lands belong to them. So when the crisis has always been, I want to occupy this particular place, this particular place belongs to me. Then someone is saying no, you cannot. You have to give me a chance to do some kind, to have my own way in your land. Now, if you want to address sorry, is that you adopt the option of mediation, that you bring them together, you mediate, or you adopt the option of stick, that is count and stick. You use stick. Now, if I'm to advise our government, where we have found ourselves now, we need to maybe adopt or bring the two options to the table. Bring these people, if you can try and identify those that are involved. Because by merely making proclamations and issuing out threats, we've had this over the years, and it has not taken us anywhere.
But do you
Every
think
time they will come on to tell us those that are involved will be brought to book. At the end of the day, no one is brought to book. We don't find anybody being brought to book. So we need to sit down, identify where the crises are originating from, then address those that are involved. Now the next thing is now anyone that engages or that what they do is, you attack me today, I wait a while, maybe after some months or even years, then I begin to gather my own arsenals, begin to gather my own weapons, begin to gather militiamen that will now attack you tomorrow. So it has always been, crisis, attacks and counter-attacks. That means that's what I'm saying. You see that we address this. Okay, the two parties or the two that are involved, bring them, do a kind of mediation. Then afterwards, anyone that engages or that tries to attack the other, ensure that whoever found the members of violence again is adequately dealt with, so that the other party will be happy, or will be glad that you have served justice. If justice is being served, it will serve as a kind of a deterrent, it will deter others from engaging in acts that will jeopardize the peace of the society.
Well, on this issue of insecurity, there are a lot to talk about, because you would agree with me that this unscrupulous element, that's what I can just describe them. They don't just attack on just any other day again. They attack on special days where possibly Christians or Muslims.
You see people at their weakest
period.
The irony about the last one on 29th of March was the fact that we were told that there are certain information that was gathered that they were likely to attack on that day. And unfortunately, they don't even really attack the way they did in previous one. They are just shooting radically on people who are just relaxing, who are on their own, within their belief, particularly students of
and
that's the irony of it. A university that has a good number of students from every part of the country.
Well, this is another period we've talked about a lot of things. There have been a lot of recommendations. We've talked about the issue that there are report or published report on those financing terror in the country. A lot we've talked about, even state police at this period. Well, do you think the state police will have, if we have state police in place, do you think they could have, salvaged the situation?
Okay. Let us see it happen. The state police. It's not a new thing in Nigeria. The whole thing was cancelled in 1966. So it's not as if it's a new thing. It's just on the basis of allegations that when we have upper hand, whether we are in the state or in the federal, who does not use one instrument or the other to harass the other. But the fact is, do we at the expense of the people's security say we are not doing anything? Thank God that the present government has shown determination that if he wanted to get state police established. Let's see how it goes and how it runs. But the main goal is the fact that it is not the number of boots on the ground, but the number of, the kind of attitude that we show to crime. When there is no consequence for an incident, there is no deterrent. People will continue to act because they believe they have godfathers that they can run to. It's like the issue of the elections. You should see when the election comes, nobody is saying anything about the institution of election. What do you call it now? Those who engage in violence.
The people that are used to rig elections.
No, not even rigging. Those who are engaged in violence during election. There ought to be a kind of a tribunal to try them.
There are enough provisions in our laws.
I know, but we don't have
to address
because the hands are always seeming to be tied because of involvement. Until we detach ourselves and we make governance to be transparent, to be honest, to be sincere. Many things seem to tend towards complicit at certain levels. Why should a non-state actor be more powerful than the state that has all the apparatus of governance? Of course, what we are seeing concerning this issue too, in terms of insecurity, is the fact that we need to change our security architecture. We need to change it. There must be another one, and part of it is the issue of state police that we are even saying. If not, we are even going to the extent of having neighborhood or community policing, as it used to be. We have those in those days. Look at Lagos. Look at the Lagos State Trust Fund that they did. That helped seriously in quelling most of the criminal gangs that are taking Lagos for quite some time within the early 90s, late 90s and up to early 2000s. At least they've been having a respite, particularly the industries. But should we continue in this manner at the larger level is what is giving people concern. Well, and that's why an appropriate action has to be taken on punishment for whoever is involved or is planning or is complicit in any of these things. Until that is sad, nothing will happen.
Well, nothing will happen. We really sympathize with the people of Plateau State, and we hope that this will not happen again. We are really open. Let's move to the next one now, to politics. INEC recognizes parties linked to David Mark, Rauf Aregbesola, and INEC is saying they said the decision is based on a court order which directs that the commission maintain status quo pending the determination of a suit in the legality of David Mark's leadership of the opposition party, and also it also affect the Rauf Aregbesola, who is the party's secretary. There has been a lot of reaction from the opposition. The party itself has come to object that decision by INEC, and also other opposition parties are saying that it's a calculated attempt by INEC, to disorganize the opposition parties. looking at this, court order is always one thing. When we talk about rule of law, it's just expected that whether we have election coming or not, definitely the umpire, the electoral umpire, must obey the rule of law. And I think this is what INEC is doing. But the opposition are saying no, it is a calculated attempt. What do you think?
You know one thing about politics, very, very interesting. It's a game, like those who are involved will always tell you. And it depends on how you know how to play the game. You know, I used to remember in the Second Republic, NNPP, that is Nigerian People's Party, chairman founded by the late former Governor General of Nigeria, the first Governor General that we had, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. They called NNPP in the Second Republic the Beautiful Bride. The Beautiful Bride in terms of opposition, because NPN was failing then. Now today, nobody knew ADC during the era of the Obasanjo, the Yar'Adua, or Jonathan. But suddenly, ADC has become a beautiful bride for opposition. And many, many things are coming to play because of schemings, games, intrigues. And when you are in that game, you must learn the tricks. You must understand the game very well. And that is why, for politicians, they must be very careful in the kind of statement they make when issues are on the other side. I recall when initially the issue of those who are allegedly the owners of ADC before the David Mark and Aregbesola of this war hijacked the party, what happened before they eventually went to court with Ralph, who was supposed to be the national presidential candidate in 2023 of their party, was slugging it out with them. And at that time, in 2025, very late in 2025, court recognized Aregbesola as the national secretary, as well as David Mark as the national chairman. There was no hula banu. Same thing happened when you look at the issue of PDP. When they were doing their convention in Ibadan, everything, blah, 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 before the court said no. By the time the court was saying the other side, you know the statement that the fractional chairman said, I've forgotten his name now, his son, he was calling on US president to come and take over. And that was why, the reason why I'm making reference to this was when I had David Mark calling, or the party calling for the resignation of Professor Joash Amukuto as INEC chairman. When something favors you, you do not complain. But now, will INEC not be, because when politicians are not very patient to understand what and where they need to do, particularly in the area of law, they will not be able to play the game very well, because they are playing a game that you must know the tricks, that you must understand how it is played. There has been a court of appeal judgment that has said, giving recognition to one Nephew Bala Gombe, being the national vice chairman, when the former chairman relinquished their position. For him, he thought, as the national vice chairman, he should be the next person. He sued, and Court of Appeal granted him recognition. Another one says, no, we won't be allowing it. From the lawsuit of Sony, they are saying they should not enforce that thing. Both of them wrote to INEC. If you are in INEC's shoe as the umpire, what will you do? One says recognize Murphy Gombe. Another one says no, stay execution, don't. And instead of them to see between the lines, they are not crying goose that INEC want to jeopardize, want to create one party state. Though I don't like a situation where you will say it is where you be alleging your opponent as being behind the problem. If you put your house in order, it will be difficult for anyone to come in. I think as we have seen in the case of PDP, maybe by now, because I know that the David Mark led ADC wanted to do Congress on April 14th. With this situation now, if care is not taken, it will become a nullity. But I don't pray it does, because we need a vibrant opposition. ADC is the beautiful bride now. PDP is just picking in pieces. You know, majority of the problem that seems to be happening is because the way they are playing politics now is not the way those who are real politicians are playing. You must be strategic. You must know your onions. You must know the games. You must know the catch you put on at everything. You must know where you are going. When you see certain people acting certain ways, like people will say, if you know, if you are a politician, you must know the law as well. Because once the law catches up with you, you'll be crying wolf where there is none. Well, and that is what is happening now. It is not the issue of INEC. The INEC has even done it very well for them by choosing not to recognize either Northern Gombe or the other one that says, no, this is what it ought to be. Let them go and settle their case amicably before the time runs. And don't let them continue to blame one party as being behind the force. You know? Because the issue of Amopiton is not the issue of, it's an umpire. He's only doing certain, and before they even, I like that before they even got to that decision, they looked at everything. And don't forget, this one is a sign. So, at least for the first time, we are having somebody whose legal jurisprudence is not in doubt. He's a professor of law. So he will have known his onion before getting to this level. Well,
let me come to Matthew. Matthew, third force is in crisis. Second force, so to say, is sick. Do we have any strong opposition from
I think we have 18 parties.
We have 18 parties.
Yes, we have 18 parties. The federal purpose vehicle, but there are 18 parties.
As we have said, you know, politics, especially in Nigeria, is a game. It's like you are going into a contest. When you are in a contest with someone or with opponent, with maybe not in this case, maybe I should say someone, because from the look of things, ADC is about the only opposition or the only opposition
with less crisis, so to say.
Even forget about whether they have crisis or not. Even with their crisis, ADC is about the only opposition that we have. PDP is as good as, I don't want to say dead, but maybe they will rise up from the ashes of their past. Now, when you are in a contest with someone, what do? You look at loopholes from the person's camp or from the person's card. You look at loopholes. What do you now do? You explore the loopholes that you can find in your enemy's camp. ADC or the people that came together to take over, because it was more or less like a takeover. When they discovered that PDP was already was on the precipice of doom or
ICU.
PDP was already in the ICU ward. So they discovered that there was a need for them to find another place where they can actualize their aim. What did they now do? They look at different political parties. They now found ADC as a veritable tool, as a good platform, as a vehicle that was more or less, that was still in good shape. Let me put it that way. You know, when you have a vehicle that is, one is already rickety, another one is maybe you can still manage, you can park it here and there and put it on the road to
Okay,
get it to.
this is what you can call
A special purpose vehicle.
no, what you can call what do we when
A tokumbo vehicle. It's more like a tokumbo. So when they now found out, okay, you can go to ADC, what was the next thing for them to do? Where they made the mistake was not doing their own work properly before venturing into what they did. You know, when they got to the ADC, they were able to manipulate. I don't want to say manipulate. They were able to work on the people that were holding the party in trust. You know, ADC was being held in trust by some people. Then they were able to work on them, and they were able to secure the resignation of the chairman, the secretary. But unfortunately for them, there was a loophole. The loophole was they did not work on the deputy chairman.
National Vice.
Maybe, in a game, you don't know, your opponent will always find a way to rock your boat. Maybe,
I'm not even
maybe APC found in Gombe a good stone to rock the boat of
I'm not even sure.
It was now the Gombe now discovered that, okay, my chairman has resigned. And ideally, if you are in a political party, your chairman resigns. Who should be the next to take over from the chairman, the deputy chairman? So you now discover, okay, if my chairman has resigned, then it should be my turn to become the chairman. That was what the genesis of the crisis. Now, what they need to do now, I don't know if there are still a rules of reconciliation, if they can still find a way of reconciling with Gombe, if they can still find a way of persuading him, working on him to maybe withdraw some of these cases he has in court, withdraw the case, then settle it amicably, then go back to INEC, present the chairman. Maybe after resolving the whole thing, you now present yourself to INEC. Okay, now we have resolved our crisis. This is now the chairman, this is the secretary, and the rest. This is the next thing for them to do. Crying wolf, accusing the ruling party of being the ones sponsoring the crisis in their political party will not help them, because APC has an election to win.
Well,
whatever they can do to win the election, they will do.
Well, I think one germane thing to look at is the fact that these politicians don't even have respect for the party constitution, and sometimes when they want to prevail on issues, they jettison the importance of this constitution which guides them. And maybe just like you mentioned, opposition parties look at these loopholes. Do you respect the party's constitution? They fire, and when they fire, or it might not even be opposition party. It might not just be someone within who understands the constitution of the party. He fires, and you cry foul.
The problem. The problem emanated from the fact that our political parties has never been people-oriented political parties. Until we have parties that every member, they are now calling for registration. Every member who is supposedly has been registered should be financial member, contributing, carrying card. But a situation where money bags are the one determining effect, that is what you get. And that is what has been ruling since the Fourth Republic started.
Well, let's go to the last one for the day, and it's the big one ahead of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's visit to Ogun State. Preparation intensify, and that visit will be coming up tomorrow. Don't forget, it was supposed to be last Thursday, yesterday, and because of the president's concern about what is happening in Jos, he decided to visit Jos yesterday, and to come to Ogun State tomorrow. That will be on Saturday, and some of what the president will be inaugurating includes the Gateway International Airport, and to inaugurate 2 commercial aircraft for export and export operation, and also is also expected to inaugurate the a new federal operation unit of the Nigerian Customs Service and its operational vehicle. Big one to Ogun State. This is a legacy project of Governor Dapo Abiodun, and you know, we can say that Ogun IGR is going to enjoy another robust increase.
Well, you can take that as a written statement until we practicalize it. But like you rightly said, it's a great opportunity for Ogun State to widen its net of revenue. It's another optics, visibility for Ogun State government to showcase what it has for the world. It is an opportunity for Ogun State to dominate its immediate environment in terms of agricultural export wise. Because one thing that the president was coming to do was to commission the warehouse of that airport that we are told is very big to accommodate so many people, so big, and equally we are told because of the opportunities available in terms of infrastructure in that airport with about 3.4 meters wide what do you call it, where plane lands, runway. It could take big jets, and that's a plus. For long we have been looking, this is Ogun State is now going 61. It has been a thing that we never enjoyed before. For anybody who wants to travel out, you have to go to Lagos. At the time, it used to be probably you enjoy some free flights in Ibadan, but the airport in Ibadan was no longer functioning for one reason or the other until probably the present government in Oyo State has taken it over to see what is to be done. But it's a plus that within the West African sub-region, Ogun State has an influence on agricultural goods, and that is one area that we need to exploit. We need to exploit it, use it maximally, not just as a rhetoric that yes, we have a gateway airport that people can exploit. What is government doing to amass the agricultural resources in Ogun State that can be exported? Apart from doing engagements with having public partnerships, what are they doing to easily get engaged? Because agriculture and its value chain to get millions of youth engaged, and there are products that we have in Ogun State agriculturally that we can be exporting to widen the net of our revenue. Thank God we are at least one of the leading in Nigeria, but we could still do better. Again, we don't even have to travel to Lagos to go to Abuja now. Easily you can drive to Iperu and pick a flight to Abuja, and that's a plus. Unlike before, you know the lockdown, traffic lockdown you face at the express, even if you're getting to Ikeja, before you can get to the Murtala Mohammed Airport. All of these are settled, and it's a kind of opening that very axis to commercial activities, and again it challenges the security of that place too. As much as we are opening that place for bigger commerce, we must be thinking of how to secure that place as well as the people. And of course, we need to equally encourage the inhabitants of that area not to be hostile to people. Because if you are looking at a way to widen, to encourage people to come and invest in your area, you must as well be accommodating towards them. Those are the things that we must engage the attention of Ogun State. The communities around there must not be hostile, they must be hospitable in every sense. And then security is key in that area.
Matthew, quickly before we go, the president visits tomorrow with what we have, the project to be inaugurated. The road network to Iperu, beautiful. You know, linking Epe and Lagos, very beautiful. Now, your comment looking at what Ogun State now has, the international standard, more fund coming, IGR improving.
Well, having witnessed the beginning of the construction of the airport and having seen through how it's moved from a place filled with a skyscraper of refuse of dunghill to an iconic airport that can, to an extent, rival any other one. Maybe I don't want to say in the world, in African continent. One will say this is a major achievement for the current administration and a big legacy that will be left behind by the Prince Dapo Abiodun-led administration. You know, if you are, I was opportune to be part of some of the accreditation visits by the major airport regulatory agencies, and the comments that we usually get from them have been very encouraging. You know, when it comes to facilities, visit to that airport, the state-of-the-art facility. I was part when the air traffic control system was being inspected. I was part of the delegation that inspected the air traffic control system. And you know, even without, as a layman, with your understanding as just a reporter, you will see that what we have there is, you know, one of the best in the world. Now, what is left for Ogun State is to leverage on the visit of the president. I think that day we have a whole lot to do in terms of, you know, having the president buy into what we have in Iperu, in terms of, you know, making the president understand the fact that this airport must serve as a game changer in air travel in Nigeria. Because you know, part of the comments that I was able to get from some of the regulatory agencies during their visit was the fact that Lagos is already congested. Now, the next location that can, you know, the next place that can serve as a kind of, you know, taking some of the spillover from Lagos State should be Ogun International Airport. And so, in that wise, maybe what we need to do a whole lot in terms of, you know, ensuring that this airport, you know, achieve the lofty dream that it was actually conceived to achieve. You know, it's not just an airport. It's just being built like just a confirmation of how that area is zoned, because that area is under the export profession zone.
Well, that's the show this morning. Congratulations to Ogun State and on this big and laudable one. And definitely, we know that a lot of collaborative efforts are ongoing to ensure that you know, we bring a lot of commodities, a lot of international travels from the federal government, state, and beyond for personal and private, you know, trip. We'll definitely we have the airport. That's the show this morning. Many thanks to you at home, and I say thank you very much. They've been great.
It's a pleasure, and that means that our preferences were ahead.
All right. Enjoy your Easter period. Enjoy your weekend, and bye for now. Join us again next week. Bye for now.
Ogun State Ambulance and Emergency Services, OSA, where they under Ogun State Ministry of Health and Federal Government. Don't join hands, run waiting them to call free emergency ambulance services for all the 20 local governments of both towns and villages for Ogun State. Even I need ambulance separately for emergency conditions. Listen to call 0811 300 0033. Emergency, the pregnancy or allow. or urgent care for small pikin wey dey under 5 years. Full fever, diarrhea, and convulsion dey affect. Health dey for your bone. No be only that o. If accident happen for road or any big wahala for house or work, we go cover am too. Una go get free treatment for the first 2 days, 48 hours. We go dey inside hospital for free ambulance service. Make una call 0811-200-0033. Make we join hands together to stop death from emergency and save our mothers and pikin dem for our people. The safety na our priority. Abeg, make una carry the information go everywhere na Ogun State. Make we change lives for better. This announcement na from Ogun State Emergency Medical Services and Ambulance System of Center, Ogun State Ministry of Health. Make una save this emergency and ambulance number again o. 0811-200-0033. Indigents and residents of Ogun State have another opportunity presented before them. This is because the Air Force Military School and the other Air Force secondary schools across the country have announced admission exercises for the 2026 and into Junior Secondary School 1, JSS 1, at the Air Force Military School and the Air Force Girls Military School, both in Jos, as well as 13 other Air Force comprehensive secondary schools nationwide. Applications for the Air Force Military School and the Air Force Girls Military School will close on Saturday, 4/2026, while applications for the 13 other Air Force comprehensive secondary schools will end on Saturday, April 25th, 2026. Application forms are available online through the Nigerian Air Force Examination Center admission portal at www.nafpc.org.ng at a cost of 3,000 naira. Adding that the entrance examination will be conducted at designated centers on a date to be communicated to the candidates. Eligible candidates are Nigerians between the ages of 11 and 13 who have completed their primary education and are required to apply online with a valid email address and upload their national identification number. Announcer, the Bureau of Cabinet and Special Services, through the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Information and Strategy.
Self-medication is taking medication without doctor's prescription. It can lead to harmful interactions with other medications, mental health problems, and life-threatening medical conditions. If you are feeling sick, see a doctor. Self-medication can be tempting, it can be injurious to health. Always seek medical professionals' help and avoid self-medication. Health is wealth.